Hello everyone, welcome back to Crafts by the Bow. For my Facebook Live this week, I made a little teepee tent pyramid card. A lot of people call them a tent card, some people will call them a teepee card, some will call them a pyramid card, but whatever it's called, it's beautiful. It's a really pretty little card to make, and it just closes, mine closes with hook and Velcro, and it fits in an ordinary envelope. You've got just enough room to have a little bit overhanging at the left hand side. So I'm going to make another one for you today, and I'm going to use a different suite. I'm going to use Balmy Blue cardstock. I'm going to use the Gnomes Designer Series paper, and I'm going to use the little Snowman Magic set, the dies and the stamps. And if you check on my blog, I'll have all the measurements, so you don't need to worry about writing them down or anything. Let's move those out of the way. Okay, so to make the base of the card, I've got my Balmy Blue cardstock. I've already cut it at 8x4 and another piece at 4x4. And I'm going to score both pieces. So let's start with the larger one. This is the 8x4 piece. Let's pop that out of the way. And we're going to score it at 4 inches, so exactly down the middle. Okay, I'm just using my score blade. And then I'm going to score again, and I'm going from the middle to the bottom left corner and from the middle to the bottom right corner. And all you need to do is to line up the score line and the little point here in your track, but I like to start with the blade in the middle of the card. Otherwise I find you can easily bend those little sort of corner points. Okay, so we've got from the middle to the left, the next one is from the middle down to the right. And again, you just line up the score line in your track and the little corner point, put your score blade in the middle and score. Okay, the last little piece of scoring is on the 4x4, and we're just going to score it diagonally just one way. So put your 2 points, the top and the bottom, into the track, put your score blade in the middle, and just go up and down. Okay. And then what you need is a piece of Designer Series paper. I've chosen the one with the little snowflakes on so that the background looks like it's snowing. And it needs to be 3 7/8 by 3 7/8. And you also need exactly the same in basic white, 3 7/8 by 3 7/8, and this time we cut diagonally. So I'm putting those little points in. Oh, let me just move that. I want my blade to be in the middle this time so that I don't bend those little points. And I think that's all the cutting we need. I have already done a little bit of die cutting, and I've used this fabulous frames. And I've used the smallest frame, which is the oval one. And I've cut it out in our silver card and in our white card, just the same as I did for the card on Wednesday. So I'm going to do exactly the same. I'm going to stamp on the white part and use the silver frame. So I've got those already done. If you don't have something like this, you can punch circles, rectangles. You could even cut a square out and do it. So you don't have to have everything. Right, let's put the base of the card together, and then we'll do the stamping part. Okay. So to make this, I've got it turned so that the valley fold, or the depression part of the scoring, is on the back. And I'm going to fold it just in half. Make sure your corners all meet up. And then I'm going to fold this piece down and this piece down, so it looks a little bit like an arrowhead. Just make sure when you fold it over that you're not going over this score line, because if you go over there, then it means that the card won't lay flat. And make sure that the bottom is all lined up. You can go over with your scoring tool again, just to make sure you've got it in the right place. Now, can you see how this doesn't quite meet at the bottom? So I'm just going to move it round, just pull it down a little bit, and then you can use a bone folder or a stamp block just to make sure that they meet going down. And then take your 4x4 piece and just fold across that score line too. Make sure that it's even, that they meet. I have to put this down just to make sure. Oops. There we go. I'm going to go over with a little bone folder. Okay, and now we can attach these together. So you've got your larger piece, and you've got it so that the points are coming down, and this is the side that you need to look at. The other side will be the front, but we're working on the back of it. And this diamond shape now is going to go exactly down the middle. So this fold here will go down the score line here, and the edges of the square or the diamond will be just inside where the fold line is. You want to still be able to fold these pieces over. So if you have it a little bit too far, no, this isn't going to fold. And we're going to attach with glue all of this piece. You'll see that there are two little diamonds, two little triangles here. We're not gluing on those. And if you find it easier, you can make a little line with a pencil. And then when you start to glue, you know exactly where you need the glue to go. So I'm just going to add glue up to that pencil line, across the bottom and up to the score lines. I want to make sure that I've got a little bit at the top as well, so that my extra little piece is going to glue all the way across. I like to do this with liquid glue because sometimes you just have to move the card a tiny bit. And if I've already stuck it down with a strong tape, I can't do that. So I've got my point at the top. I'm just going to match it up to the very top of the card base. And then I'm going to make sure that this cut edge goes along the score line or just under it, and that I can still close. And again here. And those score lines make it really easy to know if you've got it in the right place, because if you can't fold this over, it needs to move a tiny bit. Okay, I'm just going to go over there. There we go. And that's the base of your card. You need to fold that over again. I'm just going to go down that score line. There we go. That makes it lay nice and flat in your envelope. And that's the shape you end up with. And when you put that near your envelope, you see how it's going to fit in there just perfectly, but you've got a little gap on the left and the right, and that means you can have a little bit of your decoration overhanging if you need. Now, let's start to decorate. Let's put those designer series papers on. I've cut the same piece of paper here. On my one during the week, I had 2 different patterns. And all you would do to get 2 different patterns is simply cut 2 squares of paper. If it's a directional print, just be aware that when you cut it and you've got your lines going horizontally or vertically, once you attach it to your card, it won't go horizontally or vertically. It will be on a slight angle. So just be aware that if you're choosing a pattern that maybe has an image on, or trees or something, you don't want them all bending. You know, you don't want them looking like they've blown down in the wind. Okay, so for this one, I'm using exactly the same paper on both sides. And you can attach it with a liquid glue, you can attach it with a tape runner, whatever glue you like to use. There's only the base that I would suggest using a liquid glue, just in case you need to move it. Now when you pop this on, you'll get a very narrow little border at the bottom and across the diagonal. And when you look down the centre, it will look like the border is bigger. But once you fold your card, it isn't, of course. It's the exact right size. It's because you can see a little bit from the left and a little bit from the right at the moment. Now these papers don't have to match up, so I'm quite happy just to stick them on. It doesn't matter. It's not a pattern that has to go over to the other side. And last of all, I'm going to put one of my white pieces on. You only need one of them. We cut two, but you don't need them both. I'm not stamping on my white. If you wanted to stamp, you certainly could, but remember that if you've got your card like this, don't stamp in a straight line with the horizon piece, because once it goes on here and stands up, it won't be straight. It might be easier to stamp it later, or to add like a little label with stamping on afterwards. Okay, now I'm going to pop this on here. This time I'm just putting my glue straight onto the base. I know that I can, put glue all over there, and I just have to leave that tiny border. There we go. I'm going to put this away for a second. Now, I'm going to make my card so that it stands up. And to do that, you need to join these two pieces together. And that's where you get that teepee shape or that pyramid shape. Oh, let's just attach that there. That little piece of card didn't have much glue stuck on. There we go. You can add a little magnet. I like to use these little Velcro pieces. I find it much easier. And all you need to do is to put one of the hooks with the loops, put them on top of each other. I use a little piece of the extra paper. Just going to cut a little piece off. And you don't need very much. On my card during the week, I put half a piece, but actually it was still too much. You didn't need as much as that. So this time I'm only going to put a quarter of a piece, and I'm going to cut right through the middle of my circles. Keep those two pieces together, and I'm going to cut it, let me just do this, I can see this one easier. And I'm going to cut it in half again. So I'm going to try just having a quarter. And I'm going to take it off the paper. Make sure that the two pieces are still stuck together. And I'm going to overlap as I add it. So it's easier to put the little piece of Velcro down here. If you put it too far in, this piece doesn't always lay flat. So I'm just going to put mine right down at the corner here. There we go. And then it will just close just like that. And then to open it, I don't want to pull too hard because I've only just stuck it on, but it just opens and closes like that. Okay, so I'm going to keep it closed, ready for my decoration. And I'm going to move it out of the way because I've got quite a lot of stamping to do. So I've got another piece of basic white, and I've got all of my snowman pieces out. And I'm going to stamp most of them in smoky slate. I needed lots of stamp blocks here. Okay, so I'm going to start with my snowman. Okay, and then I'm going to do the little rabbit. If I put the stamps there, you'll be able to see which ones I'm using. So at the moment, I've just got the little snowman. Now I'm doing the little rabbit. Oh, his ears are not quite as dark as I'd like them there. That's better. Okay, and I'm going to add some little pieces to the snowman. I'm going to put the grey away for a moment, and I'm using my Memento Black, and I want to stamp his little face on, and I'm using this little face with the eyes closed. that's his little face. And I'm going to need these blocks for more things, so I'm going to take some of them off as I'm stamping. Let's pop this one away. And you can see I don't keep the stamps on the acetate. I take it off and I like to put them onto the picture that Stampin' Up! Provides you inside the box. I like to put them on top there, and then I know that I've got everything back. I'm not missing a stamp or anything. Let's find that little top hat, which has just disappeared. I had it a moment ago. Where did it go? Oh, there it is. It's fallen off the stamp block. Okay, so I'm going to do his little top hat next. Oh, let's just stamp that edge again. There we go. Sometimes when you're filming, you can't always see straight on top of your stamp. So sometimes it doesn't stamp out quite how you thought it was going to. But you can easily change that. Let me see what's next. I want to put some buttons on the little guy. So I'm using this little set of 3. And again, I'm putting them in my Memento Black. I'm just going to pull this down a little bit this time so I can see. There we go. And I don't think I need black for anything else. Nope. I'm going to do the little cardinal bird, or the little bird. I'm going to do in red. I'm going to pretend he's a cardinal bird. So that's this little guy here. It's not really a cardinal, but we get lots of cardinal birds in Canada, so I like to pretend that's what it is. Okay. I'm going to take the green because I'm going to do the holly leaves, which is this little set here. And when you stamp the holly leaves, the leaves themselves actually come out in a colour. I tried stamping first in the pale grey and the smoky slate, but I didn't like how it coloured over. So I found it easier to stamp it in green and then just colour the berries. Now, what else do I need to stamp? I think that's all of the stamping. I'm going to get my red Stampin' Right marker and just colour those berries in. I tried to use something like the Festive Pearls, but they're just a tiny bit too big to go on these berries. So I think it's better just to have them coloured. And I'm colouring in his nose with the pumpkin pie. And I'm going to colour my little rabbit. I've got my light smoky slate, just the blend. I'm going to go around his ears. It's a really fast little image to colour. I don't spend an awful lot of time colouring. I'm not a colouring expert by any means. I do it all one colour and then I go round his little bottom and his leg with a bit more colour. This little ear, because it would be a little bit darker there, and this little part of his leg. And sometimes I just put a little bit under his chin. There we go. And then I've got my petal pink light just to go over his ear. Okay, that's all of the stamping. Now, I've used the dies on top of that, but they're really quite easy to cut out. If you don't have the dies, if you only have the stamps, they're really quite easy to cut out. So let's just, by the magic of YouTube, I've already cut those out. I've also die cut this one tree, and let's get these 2 little arms, and that's this piece here. These ones, if you stamp the arms, these are the dies that cut out those ones, but here it's just literally the die cuts. That's those. I've got my snowman, I've got his little hat and his holly and the little bird and my little rabbit. And I also cut out 3 of these little snowflakes in silver. I'm not sure yet if I need to use them, but I stamped them just in case. Right, let's Let's move that out of the way. And the last little bit of stamping is going to be on the white oval that we die cut earlier. And I'm using Pacific Point because that's the colour on this paper. And I'm using the Merry Christmas. I'm not using it from the Snowman set. I'm using it from my favourite set at the moment, which is the Framed and Festive. And it's this tiny little Merry Christmas. All the rest, really, apart from all of us, are big fonts. And I'm using them and I'm loving them. But I just want that small one. And this one's on my desk, so it makes it easy. And I'm just going to stamp this sort of across the middle, but down a little bit. So it's not quite in the middle. It's just down slightly. It's a nice crisp font, that one. Okay, right, time to put it together. I'm going to take the oval that we did from the die cutting and I'm going to put that on first. So I'm just going round with my liquid glue. Now the sentiment I'm going to stand up on dimensionals. I'm just going to close this for a moment. Now I'm going to get my envelope because I want to check that when I put this on it's not protruding too far from the left here. So okay, I know roughly where I can put it. It's going to go nearer to the bottom, about here. I'm going to just rest it on there. Oops. Okay, let me just get it out. There we go. And then I'm just going to double check that when that's folded, it still fits in my envelope. Yep. And you see I've got that little gap at the left and the right, and it's just enough space for that to stay on. Perfect. Let's pop our envelope back. Next, I'm going to put this little sentiment in, and I'm going to add it on dimensionals, just to give it a little bit of height. Let's take those off, take the backs off. And I'm going to pop my card together. It's easier just to add all the little details when it's together because you've got something to hold. Pop that right in the middle there. Oops. Still have my stiff finger stuck in it. There we go. And then I'm going to start with the tree. Now I'm quite happy for my tree to overhang because when I close this up, let's go back to the envelope. It's going to overhang onto this white piece, and that's, I've got lots of space for that. Close it up again. Oopsie. But I think I might just make my tree a little bit, let me just see. I might just hold my snowman there first and see. Might put it just behind my snowman actually. I was going to put it behind here, but I think I'm going to pop it behind the snowman instead. So I need just a little bit of glue on the tree trunk. Oh, what did I get on here? Just a whisker, I think. A little piece of fluff. Okay, I'm going to glue it up here. And it looks like it doesn't have very much glue on, but if I'm going to put my snowman over as well, once I put my snowman over it, that will hold my tree down a little bit. Okay. I am going to put little dimensionals just on the snowman. So, let me see where I've hidden them. Here they are. I'm just going to pop 2 on. And then, because I know that the very edge of him here is going to go over the tree, I'm just going to add a little bit of glue there because I know that will then stick on the tree and hold it down a little bit more. There we are. I'm just going to pop that off. My dimensional at the top is a little bit too high. I want to move it down a little bit. And because I've already squished it, but not too strongly, it will go back on. There we go. There we are. And then all of these little die cuts that I made, I'm just going to slowly add them. So for his little hat, I'm putting a little piece across just the brim. And then the little holly that we coloured and cut out. I want that to go on his hat as well. Let's see, I'm going to pop it at this side, I think. And his little arms, because they've got those little circles on, I'm going to use my glue dots. I'm going to pop the arm circle right in the middle of a glue dot. And then I'm going to put one, can you see how I've got one on this side? I'm going to put it just underneath his body, and that will just stick on using that glue dot strength. Again, I'm going to put it on the front, just on that little circle, so it sticks just to the body of the snowman and not to the frame, because the frame, you know, is a bit lower down, just because we've got those dimensionals on. There we go. And then they also look like they're sort of 3D as well. And now my little bird, I'm going to pop in the tree. I wonder if I can just glue a little bit of him. I think I'm just going to do it there. I'm just going to put glue on that tree trunk there. And then my little bird will just sit on that, and as the glue dries, he'll be, you know, stuck on there. To start with, it will be easy to move him, and I don't really want to move him. So it might take a moment or two just to dry. And let's make him straight. There, that's a bit better. Otherwise it looked like he was standing on his tail. Okay, and then my little bunny rabbit, I'm going to put a dimensional just where his little bum is, and where his nose is, I'm only going to put glue. If your dimensionals are a little bit big, you can use the mini dimensionals. But I think this just fits on here for mine. A little bit of glue on his nose, and that nosy piece will pop over the snowman, and that will just hold him on there as well. There we go. Now, I did cut out those 3 little snowflakes. I wasn't sure if I wanted any. Whoops. Let's see. Oh, I can't hold on to them. See, I might pop a few on. But actually, no, I don't think I will put those on. I think I'm going to leave it just like that. You could put some little gems on, some little rhinestones. That might be nice. Let's do that. Excuse me. Let's find the, oh, those little silver ones would be pretty too. Let's find just plain, the small plain rhinestones. And I'm going to take them off with my little tick pick tool. Let's pop those just like this. It just goes with the silver on there. And one more. Can you see what I mean? These would have been the same size as the red ones that I was talking about maybe putting on here. I think they might be just a little bit too big. There we go. So there's my little pop-up teepee card, or tent card, or pyramid card, whatever you call them. And here's our envelope. So I'll just show you that you can fit it in the envelope, because when it's flat, these pieces go over to this side and it fits on just perfectly. So I hope you'll give that a go. It's a really nice little fun fold to make, and one that when you display it, it stands up so pretty. So here's the one that I made for Facebook Live, and here's the one for today. So thank you so much for joining me. I am going to try and put a few videos on for over the Christmas period, but I am also taking a social media break. So I hope to see you in the new year, but I will try and put some things on as well. Have a wonderful holiday, everybody, and I'll see you all again soon. Bye-bye.